This is the Team Blaney Podcast.
Well, Steve, we'd like to welcome our friend and what we like to call it, Team Blaney contributor, Jerry Mariotti, to the Team Blaney Podcast for the first time, but I think it's been a long time coming. Jerry's been a long time fan of the Blaney racing family, Dave, Dale, Ryan, and he's been following along with us on our social media, watching our videos, listening to the podcast, and then contributing a lot of photos and videos and things to us over the last few years. And welcome to the show, Jerry. Like I said, long time coming.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Jerry's been a Dave fan more, before Ryan, and that's kind of first thing I want to ask you about is like, when did you start following Dave? I mean, was it his NASCAR days, or was it even going back to Sharon Speedway days, or how far back does it go?
Yeah, Steve, we've known each other for quite a while now, and yeah, I mean, for me, it was, I grew up a Penske fan, and I followed Rusty Wallace, right? So just growing up, I always watched that MGD car, and into the Miller Lite car, and then all of a sudden, he was gone, and then before that, we were going to Sharon Speedway quite often, and we watched Dave and run on the dirt tracks and stuff in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania. And when he got a shot at NASCAR, and I knew Rusty was getting ready to retire, I said, well, I got to find a new driver, right? And lo and behold, watching Dave race at Sharon all those years, and he got that that shot. That's basically, that was it for me. So I've been following him for, 25 years now.
Huge announcement over the weekend, speaking of Dave, and the fact that he goes out to the Lou Blaney Memorial, his dad's race. He's won it 2 times before, and goes out and once again shows that he's the master of Sharon Speedway, holds off Danny Dietrich, who's one of the elite sprint car drivers in the country for real, wins his 3rd Lou Blaney Memorial, and you were there in person, and he announces his retirement. So there's a lot to unpack there in the first place, and we're going to get to that. But the Lou Blaney Memorial in 2024 has really been a very long, drawn-out process because of that unfortunate summer weather there in Northeast Ohio. So things actually kicked back off the weekend of like August 17th. And there was a lot going on that weekend. The Ryan Blaney Family Foundation had a big charity event that weekend where they're helping out lots of local families, distributing some household items and healthcare items and things like that. Did I understand right that you got out there that weekend to kind of to volunteer and pitch in? And how did that go? And how cool is it to kind of help out local families in that region?
Yeah, it's amazing what the foundation does for the local community in Northeast Ohio and Western Pennsylvania. And my wife Kirsten and I were able to be there, and it was awesome. We pulled in, and we instantly saw Dale actually, and everybody else on the Blaney team was helping. So yeah, we got to hand out household goods, some food. It was amazing how many cars came through and how many people that were able to the foundation was able to support. So it was an awesome just being part of that and just volunteering and showing our support in the local community before the race. So it was awesome.
And that's not new for you as far as helping the foundation when you can, because you've been a long time contributor to them through like everything that they've done through the golf outings, all the way to the pickleball outing that happened this year. And if folks see the banner that's behind Steve there, you actually kind of gifted that, to us, which was amazing. The fact that you went and put the donation forward to get our banner at the event. Ryan just happened to stand in front of that banner for a good portion of the night. We got tons of great photos of him doing that. He autographed it for you guys, and you got to go to that event. So you've been to the golf outings, you've been to the pickleball stuff. How cool is it that you've been able to kind of contribute to something beyond racing and still have it involve the Blaney family?
Yeah, and I think it goes down to, why are you contributing, right? And who it's for. And the foundation, whether it's Alzheimer's or dementia, both my wife and I have had people in our family that have, suffered from Alzheimer's or dementia, both of our grandmothers. So it really hits hard, like, when you understand and you've dealt with it with your family, and then understanding what Lou went through, right? So it's not just, you just want to give back, right? And I think that was, that was the goal of that, and the fact that we got the banner at the pickleball tournament, and we didn't know where it was going to be, right? And we had no idea where it was going to be set up, and we walk in, and there it is, right on main court, right behind, on the fence. So it was really cool to see that, and yeah, just very thankful for everything that the foundation does.
Yeah, thank you for that. For sure, that was an incredible surprise. I thought, Steve did a good job of keeping it under wraps. I think you tipped me off a little bit when you were asking me for a file. I thought maybe you were going to try to make a T-shirt or something for when you go down there. So that was really cool. Again, I mentioned the fact that the Lou Blaney Memorial was really drawn out this year because of a rain delay. The big draw for that weekend was that the champ, Ryan Blaney, was going to make an appearance at Sharon Speedway, which he did. Mother Nature didn't let anybody race beyond some hot laps and some things like that. But it was a really cool experience for fans that did stick around, in that Ryan kind of did a little bit of a Q&A session in front of the main grandstand. And then from what I understand, he stuck around for a long time to take photos and pictures with fans that were there. What was that experience like?
Yeah, it was amazing. It just shows a lot, how much Ryan cares, right? And we knew what the weather forecast was going to be going into the night, and we kind of didn't have expectations for getting the whole night in. Maybe we could, maybe we couldn't, but at the end of the day, like, I, the fact that it got rained out, I think everyone there still got so much. They got to see practice, the hot laps. They got to see some qualifying, and then Ryan got to hang out with everyone, and it was amazing. We didn't, meeting Ryan a few times now. It wasn't a priority for us, but just hanging around and seeing everyone that got the chance to get an autograph or get a picture with them. It was awesome. I mean, he just took the time. He sat there and met everyone until the grandstands were gone, like till everyone was gone. So it was really a 2-for-1. Going to Saturday, this last Saturday, knowing that we were already there, we already won. So anything that happened in the memorial this weekend was just kind of an added bonus. So it was awesome.
Say so this Saturday, that you said you were going to make sure you got there, and this kind of reminded me of something that you had said to me. I think last year. I think we were both at Dave winning just a regular race last year, maybe. And you turned to me at that point, like down Victory Lane, when Dave was taking pictures, and said, um, I want to keep coming to as many of these as I can, because you never know what's going to be the last one.
Yeah.
And this is what kind of like sets up this past Saturday night for you. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm sure it wasn't just me. I was in the grandstands, and that you look around and you see all the people in the Blaney gear, and whether it was Dale or Dave or Ryan, it's just something special, right? And a legend like Dave and Dale both, but like you just never know, right? At some point, driving sprint cars is certainly a risk, and I think that I didn't expect it. I didn't expect to hear that after he won. But at the same time, I guess I'm not, we weren't shocked. I was able to maintain my cool, but my wife actually had a tear in her eye, just because the last 10 years of, hey, Dave's racing, Dale's racing, let's go to the track, right? And we would be there every time that we possibly could. But yeah, I think it just says a lot about the community around Sharon, and how much Dave and Dale and the Blaney family mean, and then just tying Ryan into all that.
Now, the night itself was almost a typical Dave dominated night at Sharon Speedway. And there's been a lot of those over the last few years, whether dating back to a few years ago when he scored his 95th World of Outlaws victory. That was like some 20 years between his last one. People went wild for that. Since then, he's won 4 or 5 races at Sharon that are on more like regular nights, some tune-ups for the Lou Blaney Memorial in the last couple of years. You got those opportunities to see that, but on those nights, usually he qualifies really well, sometimes fastest qualifier, usually wins his heat race, and in this case was lucky enough to draw a pole position. And I immediately saw a lot of people chatter early in the night on Saturday that, if Dave starts on the front row, he's going to be really hard to beat because, he has so many laps to that place, part owner of the track, who knows how many practice laps he has there too. So it's just like I said, typical day of dominance for Dave Blaney, and you got to be there to experience it. He didn't fire off with he didn't lead the whole race. He did battle a little bit with, I think, Ryan Smith. What were you thinking towards the end of this? I mentioned Danny Dietrich earlier when we first started, when I kind of teased leading up to this, talking about the win. Danny's really, really tough, super smart racer, wins a lot of big shows, and kind of actually was there on a whim. I believe the track he normally runs out in Eastern PA over there got rained out, so they decided to tow over to Sharon for this race. He's tracking Dave down toward the end of this thing. Were you confident, or were you a little bit worried knowing who was coming up behind him?
Yeah, I mean, whenever you have Dietrich in the field, you're like, oh boy, he's going to be one of the ones to beat, right? And before that, going back to the pill draw, I've been there a lot of times where I watched Dave, draw the 8 pill, right? And I think the last 2 times, and it's just like, it's just like that old, Blaney luck, right? Back in the day. And it's just like, and when he drew the 1 pill, I just knew it was going to be a special night. And Ryan Smith was up there for a while. You're right. I think the cushion was a little touchy tonight, that night. And if they got up too high, I know Spithalter was up there for a while. Cale Thomas, Cap Henry, they were all up there. But then, Dave took the lead back over, and here comes Danny, right? He's coming. And, he was able to hold him off. So it was amazing. What can I say? If it went a couple more laps, maybe Danny would have kept, but you never know. Maybe Dale, or maybe Dave was holding back a little bit. And I just going back on Dale too, when we got there, we went into the pits, and Dale had the top end of his motor apart. And I wasn't sure what was expecting, what was going on with his car, and he ended up gaining 8 spots. I think he was one spot away from the Hard Charger award. So, just honorable mention to Dale for gaining 8 spots and ended up finishing 6. But yeah, I mean, Dave held him off, and he was able to do it. So it was just yeah, it was an awesome night.
Now, Mike Ackelson does that on track interview right afterward, and we've heard it a couple of times now, and I'm sure we'll post it again here and there, and people will hear it. But it's real interesting because at first Dave says something about this is it, and then the crowd really doesn't quite get it, and then he kind of says it again finally, so that everybody kind of understands what he was saying.
I know it's awesome, but what does it mean to win the race that's named after your father?
Oh, it's big. Yeah, this is a race Dale and I try to win every year, and to beat that guy, yeah, in my last race, Yeah, I'm saying to beat Danny in my last race because I am officially done right now.
What was that kind of like to go through?
Yeah, I actually had to ask. My wife was standing right next to me, and I had to ask her. I said, "Did I hear that correctly?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's just a better listener than I am. I was more caught up in the moment with him winning and everything, and you know how loud it can get at Sharon and everyone's excitement. And yeah, I didn't catch it the first time he said it. And then I asked her, and and that's when she said that he was, that this was going to be his last race. So I think that's when it all sunk in, and that's when we made the decision to go to Victory Lane at Sharon as quickly as possible. If any of you have ever been there,
Yep.
it's really cool the way they have it set up. Typically you can get pictures with the winner, and we didn't, we just wanted to be there. We just wanted to see the emotion and everything. And yeah, it was awesome.
I think the coolest part about this win, and I mentioned he won a couple races there earlier in the year, more normal night, weekly kind of sprint car show races. But this was his 38th victory overall at Sharon Speedway in his career. He has, I thought this was kind of cool, 95 World of Outlaw victories, including that one just a few years ago that I said, was like 20 some years apart from his last one. So 95 feature wins in the World of Outlaws, was the 1995 World of Outlaws champion before he decided to go NASCAR racing a few years after that. The field, you named off some guys too, and I'll name it again. It wasn't like, there's big things going on at Eldora with like the Four Crown Nationals and stuff that over the weekend. There's still a huge, really talented field that was there. Again, Danny Dietrich, you had Cap Henry, you had Tim Schaefer, who's a National Sprint Car Hall of Famer. Brandon Spithaller is a regional guy, but he does compete at a lot of really big races. The Ryan Smith, like there was a lot of talent. Dale Blaney,
I got to throw AJ Flick in there too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, AJ Flick. Yeah, you're right.
I love AJ, so I got to throw him in there. Yep.
This was a really talented field, so I'm glad that if he's going to go out like go out a winner, and it wasn't against like a regular weekly show. Like this was a really talented group, and that had to be really fulfilling for him. And I'm hoping we get a chance to talk to him at some point before the year's out, because I want to know what that was like for him. So one last thing. Talked about all this stuff with Dave, being a fan of him, being a fan of Dale, and following along. There ended up not being a huge gap between the end of Dave's career and the beginning of Ryan's career. Being a longtime Dave fan on the NASCAR side, he did get that Busch Series victory at Charlotte, which we all remember. Got a custom die cast of that car. That was an amazing night. Things didn't go super well for Dave in NASCAR. But I felt like as a fan base, we had a lot of fun along the way. How different has it been transitioning to be a fan of Ryan, who whole career was essentially set up to go NASCAR racing, where Dave's whole career was set up to go dirt, and then right toward, basically like the peak of his career, he shifts and goes asphalt racing in NASCAR. So Ryan was built totally different and immediately has success, wins the championship last year. Kind of how fulfilling as a fan has that been to know that you've had this long time loyalty with them and it really paid off. And then, like you've mentioned even before, seeing Dave kind of come back to his roots and have success too.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And, being a Dave fan, all those years, it was kind of like rooting for the underdog. Right. And it's not that Dave was the underdog. It was just maybe the situation or the teams he was on, and getting a top 10 was huge. And so the expectation has definitely changed now,
Yep.
Rooting for Ryan. If it's not a top 10, it's like, okay, is this a disappointment? But I think it's just awesome. I mean, the whole journey through the playoffs last year, and even going back 5, 6, 7, 8 years, I think that I think it's great what he's done for the sport, and the fact like he's such a great champion, right? I mean, you couldn't ask for, and I'm not just saying that as a Ryan fan. I mean, just the things he's done over the last year, the way he conducts himself, and how hard he races, and has respect for the competitors. And I think that's, that's what Dave did, right? So yeah, it's been a little bit of, interesting transition from the underdog to like, okay, like the one of the favorites, but I'm okay with that. I'm sure you guys are too. And moving forward, hey, team of the summer, you had some good moments this summer. We're on to the next round, and yeah, hopefully I plan on hopefully being there for the Roval race in Charlotte. That's my goal. Yeah, hopefully he locks himself in before that, but either way, I'm excited. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, thank you for everything you've done for us in the past.
Yes, definitely.
I mentioned, about you. I tag you in a lot of the posts where you've shared videos and photos as a contributor. You are a huge contributor to us. We're really thankful for everything that you do because definitely especially on the dirt side with Dave and Dale, you've been on the scene a lot, and especially a lot of the longtime fans really love the dirt content. So it's done wonders for us. And but now people kind of get to see who Jerry is,
Nice.
and when they see your name on our posts sometimes, and hopefully they appreciate everything as well. So thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thanks for everything you guys do. Awesome. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you.
Well, thanks everybody for coming. I hope you enjoyed it.